Welcome, students and educators. My name is Shelby Hollett, and I work for Trains America. And today we are going to have some exciting information to share with you. There's an introduction video on careers in STEAM, and then Erin's going to come on and talk about chatbot. And I'm going to share with you compound interest, which I know each of you are probably learning in your classes currently. So I will get started by sharing the video. Thank you for, and I hope that was a nice introduction for you. Um, the rest of our presentation will be through Excel. I just wanted to point out there were the harvesting lettuce and the sorting potatoes. That information will be available to you in case you would like to watch those videos to further your learning. We just wanted to give you kind of some of a highlight of some of the things that are coming in our industry that's causing changes within our industry. So now I'll turn it over to Aaron.
Thank you, Shelby. Okay, I'll go ahead and grab control and start talking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a demonstration of a chatbot. So I'll start off by introducing myself. Hi, I'm Aaron Martis. I'm an intermediate solutions architect at our company. And what that means is that I create a plan to help others at the company to get their jobs done. A lot of that involves cloud computing, which you saw in our opening slides. I spend my days writing code to create and use virtual computers in databases. A little bit. The three major companies that offer such resources are Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS, and Google's cloud platform. I'm going to talk a little bit more about something that Google offers, and that's Dialogflow, a conversational agent that works on phones, web pages, and smart devices. Now, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with Amazon's Alexa or Apple's Siri. Both are virtual assistants that they can tell you jokes or help you plan your day, among many other things. Well, Dialogflow allows you to create your own assistant using nothing more than a Google account. So you know the deal. Students need to get their parents' permission first. Dialogflow comes in two versions, a complex agent type, CX, and a more friendly version for first-time users called ES. And I'm going to be talking about Dialogflow ES. That's where this turkey comes in. Before we begin, I want to talk about something that's important to all computer scientists, logic. A quick overview of logic that isn't completely boring is that logic is the use of valid reasons to get from one set of thoughts to another. For instance, if I know that you eat a turkey for Thanksgiving, then I know that your oven will be turned on during the day. Logic requires some preconditions. Your family cooks a turkey rather than frying it, and you aren't all vegetarians, in order to reach one or more postconditions, a nice warm oven, which can then become the preconditions for another round of logic. The oven is heated, so you will put the turkey in. A chatbot uses that progression from step to step to collect information about a user. I'll show you a chatbot that I created that helps you find a restaurant. The chatbot is broken up into 5 sections that a user can edit. And you'll see that on the left-hand side. There are intents, entities, knowledge, fulfillment, and integrations. While the rest that you see below, down there, are metadata about the chatbot. I'm going to focus on intents and entities and how they're used. Intents are a branch of communication that is expected from the user. For this chatbot, I created 5 intents for users to search for places to eat, to search the nightlife, to search for dining in specific locations, to search for restaurants that are currently open, and to search for restaurants according to a certain criteria, such as being closest, cheapest, or newest. Dialogflow chatbots are also created with 2 default intents, a greeting and one to handle anything else. The intents are where Dialogflow is able to use machine learning to connect what a user is saying to what they want. Here you can see I provided several phrases to convey a welcome. Dialogflow learns these phrases and others with similar wording to determine which intent to trigger. When the welcome intent is triggered, the chatbot needs something to say. That's where this section comes in, text response. With text responses, the Dialogflow agent can generate realistic sounding responses to either prompt a user for more information or end the conversation if the switch at the bottom is turned off or turned on. The other important section to learn is entities. Entities are concepts that the chatbot needs to know in order to answer questions and speak knowledgeably about the topic. Here, since we're talking about dining out, the chatbot needs to know more about things like restaurant ratings, drinks, and cuisines in addition to information about what a restaurant might belong to, what group, say a list of chain restaurants. Here, let's look at the meal entity. You and I know what a meal is. We eat every day. But for a chatbot, a meal is a foreign concept. It helps to not only define some key words associated with a meal, like breakfast and dinner, but to also provide synonyms when possible, such as supper or quick bite. That'd be a pretty good addition to snack that I might add there later. Next, we'll talk about the locations. When entities are defined, the way you use intents grows exponentially. Location is a system-defined entity. Google has already created a list of what a location is for you. And so you can use that instead of creating a list for every city, state, country. You get the idea. Here, like before, with the greeting, I train my chatbot to look for phrases that are similar to training examples. But Dialogflow is able to look beyond the specific entity that I give and generalize to the format I'm using. So I don't have to type out every possible combination of what about X. Dialogflow will pick up on the fact that London is an entity and make the connection that what about Iowa belongs to the intent as well. It's much easier for me and a really impressive use of machine learning that I just love they've included here. So you can see here that the entity is highlighted in yellow. If you're trying to invoke an entity, but your entity is not being highlighted, then Dialogflow has not picked up on the entity, and you should double check that it's been properly defined. Now, finally, when your agent's ready to test, you can try it out on the right-hand side of the screen by typing where it says try it now, or selecting the microphone to use the voice feature. Here, I greeted the agent, and it responded with one of the responses I gave it. Pretty neat. Finally, I wanted to go over using a flowchart. It's really helpful to those who are starting off or even old pros. If I were to revisit this chatbot to add the ability to create a reservation, then it might look something like this, where the user says hello, and the chatbot responds with a text response as it did for me. Then the user can say something that would trigger either an intent to see the menu or an intent to book a table. And from there, the chatbot would gather information until it was able to make a reservation and confirm the booking for the user. That requires a bit more involvement to connect the chatbot to Google Calendar and would be done in the fulfillment section. If you're interested in recreating this chatbot or creating one of your own, we'll be including links for that as well. And you might find those useful. Thank you. Back to you, Shelby.
Thank you, Aaron. Now we will go into the topic of compound interest. I just wanted to show you the formula, which I'm sure your educators have provided for you. And next, I am going to show you, we work in Excel a lot for my current position. So this is a simple interest, and this is compound interest, and the colors coordinate with it. So if I would change an amount that is shown up here, it will also change the graph. So you can see the differences happening. I can also change the percent. And there again, you can kind of see how the interest had caused it to, the compound interest, to have even a bigger amount. I want to point out too, in the bold is the total amount after 5 years. So there are 5 years here. You'll have the total for each year, and then that's the total. Here we have the total interest that's in the green, and then the difference between what is interest in the simple and compound is found here. So to make it interesting for you, I wanted to, and it's up to the educators how they would like to do this, if they'd like to go back and visit these later, but I'm with our technology team that we collaborate a lot to learn, and I'm a firm believer in that. So I have given you some challenges and some discussion questions that you can do with your classmates. The first one being, how can I earn money to save? Now, I, being a mother of 3 boys, 2 of them are in high school, a freshman and sophomore, and then I have one that is a sophomore in college at the University of Iowa. I know they saved some money from birthday money from relatives, so I put that as an idea out there. Mowing lawns. They mowed lawns, got about $20 each time they did it. So if you did it 6 times, you got $120. Shovel snow, $15 each, 10 times, 150. But then you run into challenge number 2, discuss with your classmates. Now that I earned the money, should I save it or should I spend it? And I want to take you off to this little box over here on deciding to spend your money, because I know as kids, you want to spend that money. Do I really need this item? Is it worth the time I spend making the money to spend it on that item? Is there a better use for my money right now? Could I put it to a better use than spending it? And should I wait until there is a sale on that item? If you think about some of the technology items, especially like the trends, when they first come out, they're more pricey. But if you wait a little while, the prices come down and then it's a little cheaper to buy it. Do I know anyone who really owns that type of item that I'm wanting to purchase? Maybe your buddy has it already. Maybe you can use it there and save. But this chart, save each week at a certain interest. In 5 years, you'll have. So the first scenario, in a week at $7, you will have, and you have to take that times the 52 weeks. I'm going to plug this into our comparison chart here. So the 365. And then it was 5%. So we need to change that up there to 5%. And so if we did it just with simple interest, you were going to have that 91.25 that you made in interest, only giving you 456.25. But your compound interest, as you can see, gave you 465.84. So let's go back and look at the next one. What if you took your $14 a week and you did that? So 728. Let's go plug that number in. So now you can see how it's growing a lot more, and that's just by putting $14 away. You got 929.13. Let's look at the next one here. So $60, and when we were talking about shoveling and all that, you can see $60 isn't even spending all of it that you received. But when you take that times 52 weeks, you have 3,120. So let's plug that number in. And so now you have 3,982. Now think about some of those things that you were wanting to buy and how many of them you could actually buy now. So spending to it's just something to think about. You could buy 2 fast food meals or save $7 a week. You could buy 2 cheese pizzas and a large pepperoni pizza delivered with movies, or you could save that $14 like we showed up here. And then, or buy a video game. I know my kids are big into video games, but when you think about like that last one, how many video games now could they buy by saving? Okay, so think about what you can give up and where you can make your financial goals come true. Challenge number 3, discuss with your classmates. What goes into your decision making? What are common decision making strategies? So here I know you probably have discussed opportunity costs, but there are also the financial opportunity costs. So that money that whenever you make a decision, it affects or it impacts the purchase of items with money from your savings means you will no longer obtain interest from those funds. So if you spend that money, you obviously aren't going to be gaining that interest. But when you look at it too, there's as adults too with the pandemic, what are your parents doing right now? They're looking at saving more money and spending less because of what we're going through. Um, and they often will look to the stock market and unemployment rates and those kind of things. Interest rates, interesting with that, is the higher rates make borrowing more expensive. So a lot of times people don't want to borrow during that time. But however, saving is more attractive because you're going to gain more with those interest rates. As you could see, when I increased the interest rate, you made more money that way. Um, and off to the green off to the side are some of those strategies. And so intention, decision, making strategy, you choose an option that will be both intellectual and emotionally satisfying. So that one has some thought into it. A lot of times kids are more on the spontaneous side and they choose the first option that comes to mind. So that's one thing we can teach our kids is how to think through. And then values, what your family and your culture, um, and peer pressure. You can kind of discuss this with amongst yourself. How does that peer pressure affect you? Is it in a positive or a negative way? And sometimes what's cool, what's cool now may not be so cool later. So just talking through some of those things, habits, what you're accustomed to doing. I can tell you some of the things that my parents did, I have those same habits. So you don't realize that some of those things come into effect. There are many studies out there too showing feelings around how we spend our money. So they say never to go shopping if you're feeling depressed because you tend to buy more and that kind of thing. But just having a conversation around how you make decisions is always kind of an interesting conversation. And even with little kids, I think it would be really cool to be in your classroom while you're having these discussions. And lastly, my challenge number 4 for you is discuss with your classmates, could compound interest affect you negatively? So if you borrow from someone and they're going to be calculating this interest and you're going to owe them money, how how do you think that's going to affect you? And I can tell you a lot of those interests on credit cards are more compound. But when you go to take out a savings account, you don't have that. It's more the simple interest rate. You're getting that lower. And I put off here to the side a chart with the historical interest rates. So one savings vehicle, CDs that you can find in the bank, they have a little bit better than just the regular savings account. But you can see at one point, the 12% was a high. It's been going down since then, but we can have hope that maybe someday it'll go back up that way. But this website too will be provided to you. It's just kind of a neat website to go to be able to see that. And then one last place that I thought was kind of interesting is there is another one, and I will provide this as well, is you can actually go out here and calculate your interest. So for instance, let's go. This will be my last comparison here for you. But let's go back to that 5,000 that we had in here. And let's make this 25% again. So I'm going to do that calculator and we're going to enter that 5,000 in here. And then down here it's 25 and we're going to do it on a yearly basis. So I'm going to leave that. And there were 5 years. So, oops, did I miss? I think I might have missed a step. Yeah, we need to compound yearly. Calculate. And we are, oops, we're in the compound interest. So as you can see, these numbers actually match up. So it's just, it was a way for me to check to make sure my Excel was working. But I wanted to kind of show that to you too. But you have the compound and you can actually do it with a simple. They also have a daily compounding. So I think that would be fun for you to mess around with as well. But they also have just a regular calculator in here too. So you can plug in the 5,000. I think I have to go back because we have to look at the formula. So down here is the formula. So if you have the 5,000, we actually need to take the 1.25 first when we're using the formula. And then we do to the 5th power. So to find the 5th power, it's this xy. And then you get this number, but then you have to take that times your 5,000. So you can see how it takes a little bit more steps to figure this when you're doing it with a regular calculator. And then there again, when you round up that 9, you get the 79 there. So you would have that number to match here again. So I just wanted to kind of show those things to you. I hope that you find these tools useful in your classroom. And if nothing else, I hope you realize the importance of saving some of your money. If you can start early, it'll benefit you in the long run. Thanks for joining us today.